Hey y'all, we're back out in the garage. We're out here today showing you some things we're doing with the project cart. We're cleaning up the chassis, the rust or patina, it's called, and we're using an air tool. And some of the abrasives that we're using, they're soft backed, like Scotch Brite pad. This one here says very fine. You can see it's pretty soft. Then we got medium, which is pretty much same thing. It's got a backing to it. Still relatively soft, but not nearly as soft as the other one. This is a medium, and this is what we use like on our pipes and stuff. Cleans them up real nice, but none of this removes any metal. Then we have the gnarly, which is what we're using on the chassis. This still doesn't remove any metal, no backing. So it's pretty, soft. It'll rotate and move. It'll get into corners real good. Clean up the welds real good. And then we have super gnarl, which is this green stuff. I haven't even used this one, but it's pretty stiff. It's pretty hard. So, you probably remove some real heavy rust. And again, no backing on this one. So you also have the hard ones. They come in different grade, I guess, of abrasiveness. They'll actually bend a bit, but they're really stiff. And these will, at high speed, will actually remove a little bit of metal, not like a sanding disc. But all these things are nice for metal finishing. If you've done any metal finishing, you realize all this stuff is necessary to clean up welds and what we're doing with the go-kart. We're going to clean up the chassis, and then we're going to cut off all the stuff that we don't need that they use on the 100cc cart. For instance, it's a left-hand drive chassis, and we're going to run on the right side with our motor. So the nut bar has to be removed because it's right of center, and it needs to be either center or left. You'll never hear me say that too often, okay, in a political way. We're not going to put the tubular seat back in, the seat frame back in either. I know Jim that had the cart suggested that it's going to affect the stiffness of the cart. And listen, if this cart isn't stiff enough with these added tubes already put on it, tubular frame isn't going to do any good. So we'll control it in a different way. It's got a bar across the rear. It has a T-bar that goes in there that Jim said he's never used. So there's other ways of stiffening this thing up other than using the seat. And of course, the thickness of a fiberglass seat will also dictate whether the chassis is flexing freely or not, or a little, or whatever. If you bolt it in instead of putting it on pins like you've seen in some of our other videos, the pins allow the seat just to not be a factor whatsoever, no matter how thick it is. When you bolt it in, and then of course getting thicker, just like on a low-powered sprint cart, short-track sprint cart like a Briggs, especially back with the flatheads. We spent some time working with a kid once, just changing the thickness of the seats, and the dad didn't think it was going to do any good. He was losing his mind because these seats cost money, and I told him, listen, we have some seats that have already got holes in them. I won't charge you anything. I just want you to see what the difference is between the thicknesses of the seat, and let your kid drive the go-kart and explain it to you. And sure as anything, boy, that little guy, I think he was about 12 or 14 years old. He was a talented little junior, and he told his dad, listen, this big fat guy is right. He knows what he's talking about. These seats do make a difference. So they were having a problem with a brand new chassis they bought, and they put their old seat in it. And I told them, you need to get rid of that old seat and buy a new seat and get started from zero. So all those things play a factor. We're going to talk about some other things too, so I'm going to do a couple different videos. This one here just to show you what we got going on with the chassis. Here it is. We don't have it all cleaned up yet, but you can see what we've done. Just the top side. The bottom isn't done yet, but we'll end up doing that last. We get all this done. I did go over it a little bit with some emery just to see, about if we were going to leave it this way without painting or powder coating, if we could get like a grain to it, make it look like it's brushed, like stainless or something, brushed stainless. But we'll see where we're going with it when we get it all done. But these will be cut off and then metal finish down here too. Probably these as well, because we won't put the Nerfs on the same way if we even use the Nerfs. So if we have a metal tank that we don't need a Nerf, this is coming off. We put our brake master cylinders here. We don't put them way out here because then you got to have a big rod. And then, you know, with the seat, this thing hits you right in the... I don't know how these guys drove these carts with their Brakemaster cylinders right underneath the back of their thigh. But, hey, you know, to each his own, right? These are a little cobbed up. We're either going to try to work with these or we're going to whack them off and clean these up too. And we'll call our buddy Ed down at Jaguar Carts in Atlanta and have him send us new ones. And we'll fit them up and go through that as well. So there you go. Let me give you a quick blaster with the tool, the air tool, and we'll show you. Here I am using the. Again, this is one of them blue ones. This is like the one that's no backing, right? But it is relatively gnarly. This is a used piece too, so it's not a new one. But watch how easily this takes the stuff off. Cleans up those welds real nice too. Let me find another weld that we can, here, maybe right here. And it's also not removing any metal whatsoever. Now you take and get your stuff sandblasted. Sandblasting will remove material. Media blasting, if you use walnuts or plastic pebbles, there's all different types of media in blasting, and those won't remove any metal. But sandblasting, to me, is not my favorite way to go. So this is free, basically, other than the cost of your time and the abrasives. And it doesn't remove any metal, and it gives you an idea of what you got going. You know, as we cleaned it up, we found that the chassis was obviously had cracked here, and it's underneath as well. It's been repaired, and then they obviously put this gusset in. It used to have what we noticed. You see, this one broke off. It had a pan tab here, and there's remnants of it underneath here as well. You see it there? So they used to have pan tabs there. You know, we all know that the coyotes always broke here too. So I'm a little freaked out about that, but not too much, because we'll probably do some heavier gusseting in through here, especially if we're going to put a shifter on this thing. If we're going to put a KZ or an ICC on it, it's got to be stronger than that. So, you know, we'll work on it. I just wanted to show you we're getting started with the project a bit. We got about 5 or 6 weeks or whatever till we get to MIS. So we got plenty of time to play with the other cart and get those things we need to get worked on with that. That's it for now. We'll show you as we're cutting, grinding, maybe a little welding, putting other parts and pieces of it together as we go. But we'll show you the whole project as we're building this thing. We'll start a new list, or whatever they call it on the YouTube there. Playlist of just the project cart. But that's it for now. I'll bring you back in a couple of minutes and show you what we've learned about steering speed ratio and stuff like that. Obviously, I measured all the stuff before we took it apart. So stay tuned for that. It's good stuff. We'll talk to you later. God bless.